Good morning. This is Pastor Ernie Lewis of the Blue Point Church in Sisney, Illinois, with your thoughts for Friday. Today I want us to look at a passage in Matthew chapter 14 where the Lord goes on rescuing people. That's what we've been talking about this week. And here it's the experience of the Apostle Peter. The disciples had left the Lord on the shore and they went out on the sea where the waves were tossing the boat around. And in their fears, they saw the Lord walking toward them, but they thought it was a ghost. In the middle of the storm, they were afraid. And Jesus spoke to calm their fears. He said, "Be of good cheer, it is I. Do not be afraid." Well, the outspoken Apostle Peter said, "If it is you, Lord, bid me to come to you on the water." We don't know if he thought he was taunting some sort of ghost or if he was really just testing the Lord here. So Jesus said, "All right, come." Now, Peter had been put on the spot all of a sudden. He didn't really think this would happen. I don't know, maybe he did. But he climbed down out of the boat anyway, and he stepped onto the surface of the sea, standing there, even walking toward Jesus. By the way, before we reprimand him for his failing faith, let's remember, out of those 12 disciples, he was the only one who got out of the boat. He was the only one who actually walked on the water. And I could see the other disciples maybe trying to stop him and worried about him, saying, "Peter, don't," Peter was so impetuous, he went on and he walked on the water to Jesus. And when the Lord puts us into supernatural circumstances sometimes, it is a blessing, but it is also frightening. Sometimes whenever we're put in those places, we don't know how to live or how to react. We're not used to living above this world or its power over us like Peter was doing here. So Peter began to look around. And first of all, he saw those waves that were crashing against the boat. He heard that boisterous wind, and he took his eyes off of Jesus. Certainly the most frightening thing that could happen to him here. And immediately, Peter began to sink into the sea, and this supernatural surface he was walking on suddenly disappeared. And he cried out, "Lord, save me," which of course Jesus did. Immediately, Jesus stretched out his hand and caught him. And he rescued this fearful follower who had suddenly lost all this amazing faith which had brought him to this place. Jesus and Peter get into the boat, and immediately the Bible says the wind ceased. It's almost like, well, the test is over now. I can stop that. Or as though Jesus was saying, "Look, I have power over everything." Do we ever doubt that God is in control? I mean, things in this world go awry and we worry, but do we ever feel like maybe we're sinking in the middle of it? In the evil that lurks all around us today, we're sinking and we just need to trust in the Lord. Jesus looked at Peter whenever the wind stopped and he said, "O you of little faith, why did you doubt?" This was a miraculous night, we realize. Jesus had walked with them on the sea during a great storm. Peter had stepped out and walked on the waters also. The disciples had watched in amazement, and probably their faith in the Lord had multiplied right here. So why did Peter get this reprimand from the Lord? We don't know how long these disciples had actually been following Jesus up to this point, but they should have been trusting him in every kind of supernatural way, the way that he had healed others and driven out demons. And nonetheless, Jesus reaches out to rescue Peter from a boisterous storm in his life. And he wants to rescue you and me whenever we get into those kind of circumstances too. Whenever the storm waves crash against our boat, no matter how your faith may falter, Jesus wants to reach out and take us by the hand and pull us up into a safe place. Maybe like Peter, we need to simply cry out, "Lord, save me. There are those things going on in my life today that I cannot handle. Lord, save me. Lord, it seems like there are supernatural forces against me and against my family. Lord, save me." Because we know in the midst of those circumstances, Jesus will reach down and take us by the hand and draw us up. Maybe at the same time we need to be praying, "Lord, also increase my faith so that I'll trust you in all these circumstances. I know you will rescue me."